Welcome back, everybody, to the Brazilian Dragon podcast for another edition of Brazilian Dragon Holidays. I am someone who would never try to ruin anyone's Christmas spirit like Jimmy Neutron. It is Felipe, and I'm not alone. As always, with anything Jimmy Neutron, I am joined by the king of Christmas spirit. He loves the cheese nip. It is Mark. Mark, welcome back.
Merry Pule, everyone.
Yes, oh my God, I want pie so badly now.
Same.
Yeah, what's your favorite kind of pie?
I would probably go with either pecan or blueberry.
Fun, 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 fun. I like pumpkin also, pecan. I mean, you can't go wrong with pie.
There's a
Just
local farm that sells like a cookie pie. It's like
where
a toll.
Hugh
It's like
Neutron
a
is
Toll House
crying.
pie.
Yeah, where Hugh Neutron is upset that that's not in Retroville.
Exactly. Everyone loves
Yeah,
pie.
everybody loves pie. It's a wonderful day for pie. I believe they sang a song about that in Family Guy.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't expect a Family Guy reference, but I love it.
It's like deep, deep, deep in the core of my brain, like from seventh grade. Mark, how do you like to celebrate the holidays? Do you have any favorite holiday traditions? Do you have any favorite holiday, um, snacks besides pie?
Holiday snacks. Oh, that's interesting. No holiday snacks. Unfortunately, I do. My main job is retail. So holidays, I'm not going to say are awful, but they're just draining.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
everyone else is like, all right, time to relax. It's like, nope, time to, but it goes by fast. So I don't mind.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite holiday media, like movies, TV shows? Obviously, we're going to talk about one specific one, but do you have any favorite like Christmas movies, for example?
I do love the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yes. Are you a big Michael Caine guy?
Yes, maybe not
Is
in
he
that
your favorite
movie. Maybe this
Alfred?
you know what? Actually, yeah, he's my favorite Alfred.
Yeah. But yeah, the Muppets Christmas Carol. I love that like he's taking it very seriously and then the Muppets are there.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, yeah, and then what is your backstory with this Jimmy Neutron episode of the holidays?
So my parents worked a lot during the holidays. So it would just be me at home with my sisters, and we would all each watch, holiday specials and repeat. You got the classic like Rudolph, you got the Cartoon Network, but I feel like Nick always had the best Christmas specials. Like I feel like you're gonna talk some on the Brazilian Dragon, like hopefully the SpongeBob one, their first one.
Yeah, no, I definitely that's the plan. At least if not this year, get them in the future. But I definitely have uh an ambitious. It's not going to be as ambitious as Brazilian Dragon Tober, but I definitely have plans to talk about some of these like Christmas specials. Um, it's just also like as someone who also works during the holiday season, it's hard. It's hard to.
Yes,
It's busy season. Oh my God, people need to go away.
it's interesting how my two jobs is like retail is so busy, but as a video game reviewer, it's just dead.
Yeah,
Like as we're recording it, Indiana Jones just came out, and that's the last big game for the year.
yeah. Maybe you have to jump over to movies right now to get some
Ooh,
words in
Oscars.
because yeah, everything's coming out. Everything.
Mm.
But yeah, did you so you had seen this episode before as a kid?
Oh yeah, of course.
See, I was a dedicated Jimmy Neutron boy. Love Jimmy Neutron. I don't know if I had ever seen this episode until last year. Like I
Really?
think I might have missed this one. Like I this one was like something that wasn't super like familiar to me. And I've seen like all the other Jimmy Neutrons for the most part. But this one, like for whatever reason, I'd seen the SpongeBob, the Fairly Odd Parents, like the Danny Phantom. Like I'd seen so many of these Christmas specials. This one did not, if I had seen it, did not stand out in my memory. Um, but it's a good time. Like I enjoyed it, rewatching it this year and then also watching it last year for the first time. Uh, Jimmy Neutron is such a buzzkill though, and that is like my
Oh, he's
biggest takeaway
horrible.
as an adult is Jimmy Neutron needs to get drop kicked.
You know what, Felipe, that's the right move.
Yeah. See, I feel like Sheen and Carl were the actual heroes of the series.
Oh, big time. Like if they didn't have Jimmy, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Cindy, Queen, Libby, Queen, Miss Fowl, Icon, Hugh, Judy, Legends. But Jimmy's just a pain in the ass. I'm
I'll
sorry.
even take Sam, the canny guy, over
Yes.
Jimmy.
We agree though that the principal is gay, right?
Oh, he's a friend of Judy.
Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah. I remember talking about that with you, and then also later when we talked about it on the Fairly Odd Parents Brazilian Dragon October special with Gia, and Gia's like, I'm glad we both agree that he's gay. I'm like, yes, okay, good.
It never occurred to me until I watched that episode, and I just wrote in my notes LGBT plus.
No, you could have just stopped at the G. The capital G. But yeah, but as fellow friends of Judy's, we can say that.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so let's just quickly go over the synopsis of this episode. We start at like the show and tell. Did you ever do show and tell as a kid?
Not as a kid, but oddly enough, in one of my classes in college, it was like a public speaking. We had to do a show and tell.
What did you show and what did you tell?
I I'm not gonna say I made it up. I just made up the item. So I knew my professor was a super, she loved animals. She was very kooky but
Was she the
nice.
theater one?
Yes.
Okay. You've told me about this lady
So,
before.
and I'm like, all right, I never threw a baseball with my St. Bernard Bernie, but I threw a baseball with my St. Bernard. And I brought in a baseball and I told everyone like, oh, the old one's buried in the yard. So I just brought this in case and I got an A.
Nice. We love lying for the grade.
Listen, does that make me naughty for lying? Yes, but it felt so nice.
Yeah, period, King. And yeah, if for the grade, for yeah, you gotta do it for the grade sometimes. Like how many times did I BS my way through a book that I didn't read? We've all been there.
Pro tip, I don't know if teachers have caught on. Like they ask for like the 12 font size. Just do 12.5. That point 0.5 just works in your favor just a
Yeah.
bit more.
Well, who knows with AI anymore? But
Mm.
we like we might be the last generation to be able to scam our way through schools. Granted, I was a good student. I did most of my homework, but every once in a while, you like fudged it. You skimmed the book right before you skimmed the chapter right before you like uh read the Wikipedia synopsis. Um,
And keep in mind, my college now no longer exists. College of St. Rose, Jimmy Fallon went there and they were broke and they shut down.
wow, Mr. Jimmy couldn't even give you money.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, so Carl is showing off this cheese nip. Jimmy is being an asshole and being like, Santa's not real, Santa's not real. And then Mrs. Fowl's like, Jimmy, stop. And then
Ah!
Cindy's like, stop being mean, Jimmy. And then later they go to the lab and Sheen, I almost called him Charlie. Sheen and Carl, they're in the lab and they're like, Jimmy, why are you must have been on the naughty list? And Jimmy's like, no, Santa just didn't bring me my dwarf star that I asked for. And Sheen was like, well, it's because you were on the naughty list. And then Carl sits on something and triggers the DNA remote to hit the North Pole. So then Jimmy's like, you know what? Let me go prove to you all that you're wrong. And they go up to the rocket, and meanwhile, Cindy and Libby are like watching from the window, and they're like, they're on bad behavior. We're gonna go down and catch them. But then they step into the hypercube. So just general plot setup. How do we feel? Whose team are we on? Obviously not Jimmy's, right?
Not Jimmy. I feel like Jimmy's the kid who asked Santa for a PlayStation 5. It's like, whoa, you gotta chill. PlayStation 5, what about like a truck, a toy truck, or an action figure? You're asking for a dwarf star?
Like Jimmy, come on. Santa can't go up to space. He's too busy flying around the world.
You're asking for a death of a star, you monster?
Honestly, homophobic.
Very.
Very. Speaking of queer icons, I believe you once said on this very podcast that one of your early bisexual awakenings was Hugh Neutron.
That is 100% true and still is.
Yes, and so his plot in this episode is that he and Judy are trying to set up the tree, but Hugh is like, let me get the Pule out because he prefers pie to everything, right?
Yes.
So they also see that their son, I mean, we'll jump back to them in a little bit, but they'll later see that Jimmy is a troublemaker and they're like, "Oh my God, what do you think, Judy? Do you think Judy is like I should have sent him to boarding school?"
It- yeah, probably like, oh,
Yeah.
you're such a buzzkill.
But yeah, so the girls get trapped in the hypercube. They take off to the North Pole. Jimmy's being more of a buzzkill. He's like, "This is some secret military base." He says, I'm pretty sure he drops the M word that we're not supposed to use anymore, about the elves. Uh, does
Even
he?
I don't know if he did, but they're like, they're short guys with ear problems. It's like, okay, rude.
Yeah, maybe it's just the summary that I was rereading that dropped the M word. I was like, But yeah, because I watched this and then I was like, let me just refresh my notes. Yeah, I was just like, bro, stop it. He was such a jerk to Lou, especially. Lou gives an MVP for me. That's not the Scooby-Doo podcast. We don't do this on this podcast, but Lou, you know that man is a blue collar employee. He works hard. He is not unionized, and he busts his ass every Christmas season for a big old Saint Nick.
Yeah, I mean, Santa's job is hard, but being the head elf in charge,
Yeah, and you know loopholes. Like Jimmy
mm,
could never. But speaking of the icons, Cindy and Libby are like stuck in the hypercube. What would you do if you were stuck in a hypercube? Would you just vibe out?
a cry. I feel like that's hell.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, what do you do? These girls are smarter than I. I would have just been like in a snail position. Um, and Libby's like, no, let me bust the tunes up. And that's how they get out of the hypercube. I'm like, these are some smart cookies, smarter than I.
Like I know Jimmy's the boy genius, but Libby,
Yeah.
Stan.
I love that like every time I talk to one of my friends, like specifically my lady friends, that we talk about Jimmy Neutron, their core memory of the show is the episode that Libby's hair changed and they went to Egypt. Like
Yes,
for all of the girls in my life that were passionate about Jimmy Neutron, that is the number one episode for them. Which for me, like that episode is more foggy, but I was like, I love this for you all. Like that is how you know that these are style girlies because they like care about the fashion.
that actually is a core memory for me. They all went to Egypt,
Like I
danced with
remember the episode,
mummies.
but then Libby comes out and her hair is different. But it's just like I love that that's the first thought for Jimmy Neutron for all these people. Like every time I'm talking about Jimmy Neutron with one of my friends that is a woman, is like, oh, this is their core memory of the show.
I love it.
Yeah, my core memory is the episode that they voted Bobby out of Survivor. Slap, 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 clap, clap, clap. Um, but yeah, so then they go and Cindy is like, I have a 5 point plan to bust Jimmy Neutron. Here's my video camera. I haven't gotten to part three yet, but we'll figure that. And then Jimmy puts them on a rocket. And I'm like, Jimmy, that's so dangerous. What if they fall off?
Because he's a monster.
He's a monster. He needs to, again, Jimmy Neutron needs to be drop kicked. And then through this chaos, he also like breaks Santa Claus.
Yeah, again, we're gonna harp on this a lot. Jimmy is terrible in this episode.
Yes, he basically did the thing that happened at the start of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 with Rocket. It's like he shocked Santa and then um and yeah, so then he breaks Santa Claus. So then Lou is like, "What the hell, man?" So they are like, "Okay, well, I'll deliver all of Santa's presents, and using science, I will prove there is no Santa Claus." So he puts all the 2 billion presents in his hypercubes, and then he gets on his rocket. Goddard is the navigation, and he's also Rudolph in that moment with the red nose. Underappreciated episode for Goddard, I will say.
He'll go down in history.
Exactly. Yeah. And um Lou was like, Jimmy, you're crazy, but you know what? We need something to happen because Santa Claus is incapacitated right now. So, what's your favorite present you've ever gotten?
I would probably say the Wii. The
What? Oh, the
Nintendo
Wii?
Wii.
The Nintendo
Oh
Wii?
yeah.
I thought you said weed for a second. I was like, I mean, pop off. But no, the Nintendo Wii. That was like the best present I also have gotten ever. I was like 10 when I got it. I got Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Life changing.
I'm so sad they canceled the series.
Yes. Again, homophobia.
Very.
Yes. Um, so speaking of your king, Hugh Neutron, so he and Judy see that the news report with the Cindy footage, and they're like, "Oh my God, everyone's gonna hate Jimmy." Hugh's like, let me create a new holiday so that people hate me less." Uh, Fuel. And I think did we get a date for Fuel? I don't remember if we got a date, but we should.
I think he just wanted to do it as a replacement for Christmas, so
Yeah.
December 25th.
Yes, oh my God. I Googled what day is Pule, and Pule is actually something in Hawaiian, which is a prayer day. But Hueism, is this an actual, the Hueism wiki? Okay, Hugh Neutron, this is a spiritual journey Wikipedia about everything from Hugh. I'm gonna send it to you, and we can do a deep dive into Hueism on an episode we have more time.
Ricky. Oh, well, I know my reading for tonight.
Yes. Um, but yeah, so Jimmy and he's like, oh my God, let me pie and Yuletide. But then everyone is like not about that Pule life, which is kind of disrespectful. Because he's trying to go give Pule to pie to everyone, and it's like, hello everybody, it's pie. And they don't want it. Um, Meanwhile, Jimmy, Carl, Sheen, Garter, they go around, and I like the little like the graphics with the like different cities around the world that they used. They go around the world, but they have to go to Retroville. That's their last stop. So they have to get a lightspeed blast from the warp module. The rocket goes so fast it disintegrates, and they go falling like Alicia Keys. Um, and then Carl's twisted mind. He's like, "Oh my God, that means that you're a flop. That means that Santa's real because you can't do it, and Santa can." Um,
It's a glass half full
yeah. Carl's like
situation.
on his way to death, and he's like, "Hey, my point was proven."
I mean, that is goals right there. If that's how I have to die by saying, well, I was actually right, it's a
Yeah.
good way to go.
Um, I loved that Carl was like a petty king in that moment. Um, and this also means that Santa must be real. And Santa Claus shows up in his flying sleigh, rescues them with a tractor beam, and Santa is tells Jimmy that he was on the naughty list for some time, and Sheen's like, "Hell yeah, you were." And then we basically Santa's basically like an older version of Jimmy, where a lot of his machine is tech that he created. Um, and the sleigh can use warp modules better than Jimmy's rocket could. So they get all the presents to Retroville, and they drop the boys off at their home. Jimmy gets his dwarf star that he wanted 2 years ago because he needed time to cool off. And they put it on top of the tree and sing with the parents as it begins to snow in Retroville, Texas.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
Um, do you like snow?
No.
Have you ever eaten snow?
Yes.
Yes. No, I don't know. I was just wondering. Snow is I like snow visually.
Same. Like I like the atmosphere. It's like, ah, but it's like the reality of shoveling the snow and then driving through snow.
Hmm.
It's just, and now I have a dog. I have to go outside and it's like 5 degrees out, super snow. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. I'm not a big fan of the cold. But we did it. And then we didn't really get any resolution for the Sydney Libby plot, which is kind of disappointing. But
And also very mad that they get coal.
yeah, they were the heroes of the story. They were independent journalists who sacrificed their own safety for coal?
Proves
I,
to the whole world that Santa does exist. And it's like, nah, you exposed my secret. Pull.
Yeah, boo, boo tomato. Like I'm a Santa Claus fan, but in that moment, I was disrespected for Cindy and Libby. Like Cynthia and Libby. What's Libby's real name? I don't know.
Uh, Queen.
Queen, correct. Yes. Anything that you have to say about this episode of Jimmy Neutron that we have? Any stones left unturned?
Uh, just a couple. One, Santa's voiced by Mel Brooks, and I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
If you
we
don't
love
know
that.
who Mel Brooks is, he's a famous director. He did Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddle, the producers. He's made cameos. You can recognize the voice. And I'm watching it, the episode, like for the podcast. I'm like, wait a second. That can't be. It's for Jimmy Neutron. And then I saw him like, oh, shoot.
Yeah, we love it. No, big fan of Mel Brooks, the only Mel in Hollywood that matters.
Like currently, or
I mean, we don't
I was
talk
going to
about the
say
other
Mel
ones.
Blanc, but
Oh, okay. True, true, true. We don't talk about the other famous Mel
oh,
these days.
we don't talk about that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Jimmy Neutron has a wild voice cast, like even from the movie with like Sir Patrick Stewart. Uh,
And Martin Short.
yes. Any other takes?
And you know what? You mentioned how this episode wasn't as familiar for you. Like the only thing I remember is Santa was like a tech person like Jimmy, and he had a brain blast, and that's it.
Yeah.
You think about the SpongeBob and Fairy Odd episodes, and honestly, I kind of forget that Danny Phantom had a Christmas episode and many other memorable episodes, so I can't hold it against him. You know what SpongeBob and Fairy Odd parents have? Good songs.
Yes, there's no song in this one.
There is, but it's just so like not memorable.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that's the issue. Like I feel like the Jimmy Neutron, I can't even tell you a famous Jimmy Neutron song besides the theme song. Like they
Oh,
were not.
I think I have the
Oh,
ring.
I have the ring. Sorry. That's the other one. But there's like a lot more famous melodies from like SpongeBob, of course, and then also Fairly Odd Parents and like the other shows I feel like were more famous for their music.
And then Jimmy Neutron was like,
Yeah. I have the ring. Yes, I have the ring.
oh yeah.
We love that episode. But yeah. Um, you make good points. You make good, especially for a Christmas episode. Come out with the tunes. I want the Pule national anthem.
And you know, Pule had a song, but it's like it was just so rushed. I was like, oh, I wrote my notes. I'm like, okay, so that happened.
Yeah, exactly. Um, do you have any final thoughts about this?
I mean, it's a fun episode. It
Yeah.
puts you in the Christmas mood. And also, speaking of Nick, they had like this animated special during the commercials. It was like in the style of like the Rudolph, like Rankin
Yeah.
Bass style, and they had all the Nicktoons together, like Kane Arnold, SpongeBob, Jimmy Neutron, and Vader Zim. You can find it online. It's very cute.
Yes, I need to refamiliarize myself with that because I love a good little claymation Christmas moment. Um, and I mean Jimmy Neutron kind of looks like claymation sometimes.
He does.
Yeah. But no, I'm a big fan of the Jimmy Neutron cinematic universe. It's so fun, so unhinged. Sheen and Carl, just wild human beings. And this was a grand time to talk about Jimmy Neutron this morning with you. Do you have any plugs or Christmas movies people should watch? If no plugs, but I know you have a plug.
You can check out my reviews. I review video games. I also interview people at cbr.com.
Yes, he's a comic book resource.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Christmas movie, underrated one. It's called Anna and the Apocalypse.
Okay.
It's a Christmas zombie musical.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. For me, my underrated Christmas movie, I don't know how underrated it is because it was nominated for an Oscar, but Klaus. Klaus is a banger.
Oh, Klaus is great.
Yeah. And then in terms of me, you can follow me on the Brazilian Dragon pages on Instagram and soon to be Blue Sky. And in terms of the Patreon, you can subscribe if you're interested, like my boy Mark. Yeah, Brazilian Dragon Productions on the Patreon page. It helps support the podcast. The biggest thing you can do to spread some holiday cheer is to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts of 5 stars, a Spotify. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It helps more people find the podcast, especially if you love Jimmy Neutron, and subscribe on YouTube. But with all that said, happy holidays. See you soon with another episode of Brazilian Dragon Holidays. Thank you, Mark, for joining me. Happy Pule, happy holidays. And until next time, obrigado for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.